Meta's AI chief said they've caught OpenAI. Then Zuckerberg immediately said the opposite. Same room, same town hall, same day, and $145 billion is riding on which one of them is actually telling the truth. So here's the question you need sitting with you for the next 4 minutes. Which executive was lying? Or were they both telling the truth in the worst possible way? Alexandr Wang, the 27-year-old billionaire CEO of Scale AI that Zuckerberg personally recruited, stood up at this town hall and made a very big claim. He told employees that Meta's next model, codenamed Watermelon, has caught up to OpenAI's GPT 5.5 on closely watched AI benchmarks. Standing ovation energy. Except Watermelon isn't released. It isn't available to the public. The specific benchmarks Wang cited are completely unknown, and neither Meta nor OpenAI confirmed a single number. But then Zuckerberg went next, and Reuters got the recording. He told staff that AI agent development has not accelerated as expected over the past 4 months, that Meta's reorganization was not as clean as it could have been, and that they expect more significant returns within 3 to 6 months. So Wang is saying they've caught OpenAI. Zuckerberg is saying the whole thing isn't working. Same room. The Watermelon codename is actually part of a pattern. Meta has been running a fruit-themed internal naming scheme for its AI models. Avocado became Muse Spark, released in April. It performed well on some benchmarks, but didn't match the frontier. Now Watermelon is supposedly the next step up, still in training, using an order of magnitude more compute than Avocado. An order of magnitude. That's 10 times, maybe more. Therefore, Meta is budgeting between $125 and $145 billion this year on chips, data centers, and infrastructure, revised upward from their earlier forecast. That's not a company hedging. That's a company betting the entire farm on a model that hasn't shipped yet. Here's the contrarian take nobody else is saying. Even if Wang is completely right, even if Watermelon genuinely matches GPT 5.5 on every relevant benchmark, that still might not matter. OpenAI released GPT 5.5 in April, then released GPT 5.6, which is more powerful, just last month, and GPT 5.6 is already government gated. Wang's announcement confirmed that Meta has caught up to a model that is already 2 generations old. That's not parity. That's closing the gap and realizing the finish line moved. The benchmarks themselves are also invisible. 2 anonymous sources told Business Insider that Wang cited, quote, closely followed benchmarks. That phrase is doing enormous heavy lifting. Benchmark selection is the oldest trick in AI marketing. You can make almost any model look competitive if you pick the right 5 evaluations. Without published numbers, this is a press release disguised as a town hall. So what does this mean if you're actually building something right now? 3 signals. First, do not update your stack based on a leaked town hall. Wait for Watermelon to ship and for independent researchers to run eval suites. The gap between our internal benchmarks look good and this model actually works for your production use case is enormous. Second, the open source angle is what you should actually be watching. Meta has said it plans to open source future versions of the Muse series. If Watermelon eventually drops under an open weight license, the way Llama did, every developer's API bill changes overnight. You wouldn't need to pay OpenAI or Anthropic for frontier level capabilities. You'd run it yourself. That's the scenario that actually moves the market. Third, Zuckerberg's admission that AI agents are underperforming is the most useful signal in this entire story. Meta has 3.2 billion users and every financial incentive to get agentic AI working inside Instagram, WhatsApp, and the ad stack. If Zuckerberg is saying agents aren't working the way they expected after 4 months of trying with essentially unlimited resources, that's a data point for everyone building agentic products right now. The technology is harder than the hype suggests, which brings us back to the opening. Which executive was telling the truth? The answer is almost certainly both of them, in the worst possible way. Wang is reading internal benchmark numbers on a model that hasn't shipped. Zuckerberg is describing the real-world product performance of a model that has. 2 different realities. Same company, same meeting. Meta has $145 billion riding on the idea that Watermelon proves Wang right and Zuckerberg wrong, and that the next 3 to 6 months actually deliver. If it does, open source developers win. If it doesn't, the biggest AI infrastructure bet in history just became the most expensive lesson since the metaverse. Like, if this just saved you from getting burned by the hype cycle, check back tomorrow. This story is not done.